Hi everyone. Firstly, I would like to thank everyone who commented on my last recording. It would appear that I have been missed. It was actually very touching to read some of the comments. Thank you to all of you. I really do appreciate it very much. Okay, now down to business. Some of you have asked whether I had visited Dalbarton yet, and the answer is yes, I have. Because I only have a cell phone to take still images with, and the fact that there are already more than enough photos available that show everything that is happening at Dalbarton, I did not take any pics while there. So this recording will be based on my experience at Dalbarton only. If memory serves me correctly, I arrived there on the afternoon of the 20th of December last year and left on the morning of the 22nd. When I got there, it was pretty late in the afternoon. I'd been driving all day and had not eaten, so we quickly set up the tent and prepared to make a fire and dinner. Rodney welcomed us there and invited us in for coffee as soon as we had fed ourselves. After a quick braai, or barbecue as it is known elsewhere, we made our way to Rodney's house, where we were offered a cup of delicious Kahlua coffee, which we sat and enjoyed in his living room while having a chat with him about the progress that had taken place on the farm since I had spoken to him last. Being fairly late in the evening and the fact that we had been on the road all day and I was tired, we did not stay and chat for too long. The next day, Rodney had to leave early for an appointment in Cape Town and was out for most of the day, so I was left to explore the farm by myself. I took a drive through the game section of the farm, where we saw springbuck as well as eland and one or two ostriches. As most of you know, the natural ground covering in that area is basically sea sand, and the tracks through the game farm section are almost exclusively for four-wheel drive vehicles at this stage. I'm sure that in future they might consider upgrading them, but that is certainly not a priority right now. In fact, the fact that a limited number of vehicles can pass through the area is a good thing in my opinion. There are a number of people who are already developing their farming portions with a few dwellings already erected and others in various stages of completion. There's been an extensive water reticulation system installed to supply water to each farming portion. If memory serves me correctly, these water supplies are metered and a minimal fee per kilolitre is charged. From what I learned, the roads into and around the farm were a real problem in the beginning. But when I was there, the roads were in pretty decent condition and in my opinion, any type of vehicle would have been able to drive on them. This was discussed with Rodney and I was told that the roads had been upgraded at considerable cost, which I would imagine would ultimately have to be borne by the community living on the farm, or better known as the shareholders. I can see by the rest of the area that before the roads were upgraded, access must have been quite a problem. Although I was given some figures on what the upgrades to the roads cost, I will not repeat them here. What I will say is that the access road being at least 6 or 7 kilometers long, they did fairly well getting the job done for the price they paid anyway, in my opinion. If I look at the farm as a whole, the roads that needed upgrading, the balls that needed to be tested, the pipework that needed to be laid to each farming portion, the water meters, as well as the other infrastructure that had to be put into place, added to the original purchase price of the farm. There have been millions spent there, and judging from how many people are on the farm at the moment, I doubt that those costs have been recovered yet. I think what people need to realize is that Dalbarton is the start of a new community, a community who seeks to stay independent or become independent from the government, but one that unfortunately still falls under the jurisdiction of South Africa and its government, laws, etc. Growth and ultimate independence is going to take hard work, sacrifice, and a willingness to help growing the internal economy by firstly not being overly concerned by paying a little more for something you could get in town from a supplier who does not have your future or well-being at heart. In fact, we should be concentrating on firstly not supporting anyone who does not have our best interests at heart. Secondly, to keep our resources, that is our money, in our community. If that means paying a little extra for something produced by one of our community, then we should be glad to pay that little extra. Starting a community like this is a slow process. And as with all projects like this, generally the first ones to be attracted by it are people like myself, people with very little or limited resources. It is us people who are the real pioneers, the real builders, and those willing to make the biggest sacrifices. Of course, this is not a hard and fast rule. Without people like Rodney and Brian, who have offered their resources to secure the property for us and fund projects like the resurfacing of the roads and the water supply system until the community can pay them back, is truly a blessing. Nobody should expect them to finance all of this. It is our responsibility as members of USAF and Dalbarton to eventually pay for all of this as a community. There was also a bit of controversy surrounding the issuance of shares on the farm, or shares in the farm. I have to admit that I did not know what was meant by voting shares and non-voting shares and how they were acquired. But after talking to Rodney, I now understand what the difference is and why the system was implemented. Basically, the system is there in order to protect the smaller shareholders from being dominated by bigger shareholders. In other words, the way I understand it, a property owner of a plot of 20 hectares, for argument's sake, will have the same voting rights as, say, someone who owns a plot of 2 or 3 hectares. That is where the non-voting shares will come in. The owner of the larger plot will own more non-voting shares than the owner of the smaller portion. In other words, he owns a larger portion of the entire farm, but he still has the same voting rights as somebody who owns a smaller portion. Other than that, there was very little else I could learn in the short time I was there, except that the people that I met there were extremely generous and willing to help wherever they could. That was my experience anyway. I know that it was and still is the aim of USAF and Dalbarton to, at some point, help and support those who simply can't afford to buy a plot or build a house. Those that find themselves unable to support themselves in the world out there today. Unfortunately, in my opinion, at this stage, the community is still too small and unable to provide that kind of support. That's at this stage. However, there is limited opportunity right now for those willing to work to earn their keep at Dalbarton. When I say work, I mean rolling up your sleeves, bending your back, and getting your hands dirty. In essence, that applies to every single person who has moved to the farm at Dalbarton. Hard work is by far the only thing that is going to make Dalbarton a success, in my opinion. Just look at what we as a nation did to build South Africa up to what it was before it was given to an undeserving, incompetent, and totally corrupt bunch of morons. Our forefathers knew the value of a good day's hard work. It is time that we relearn that and put it into practice. Also, only working hard on your own portion of land is not going to help to strengthen and grow the community. Members need to realize that they are not moving into a new complex where everything is laid out for them. All infrastructure will have to be created by the community for the community. If you want to be able to gain any kind of independence, you're going to have to work for it, no matter who you are. So to conclude, Dalbarton is there and it is functioning, and it is growing, although slowly. Yes, there have been disagreements, and there have been people who somehow got the wrong idea of what they would be getting for their money when they bought their portions, and have requested refunds. That was to be expected, I suppose, and can be considered part of the growth and development process. Make no mistake, Dalbarton is not perfect. It is not heaven on earth. What it is an idea, a dream come true, but nevertheless a dream that is constantly developing. It is up to us to make that dream what we expected it to be. Please like and share this video on as many social media platforms as possible. It's the only way that my content gets out there. If you have not done so yet, click on the subscribe button as well as the bell icon to be notified whenever I upload new content. If you would like to support my channel, in the comment section I have provided ways in which both local as well as international viewers can make a contribution. If you'd like to make a crypto contribution, I've also supplied a Bitcoin as well as a Litecoin wallet address. If you would like to contribute any other crypto, shoot me an email to the address also provided in the description field and I will reply with the appropriate wallet address. For those who are comfortable using Zapper, just pause this video whenever you see the QR code and scan it. Any and all contributions will be welcome and very much appreciated. To those of you who do support my channel, I say a huge thank you. You will never know how much I appreciate it. Until next time, be safe out there.